All right. Hello. I know it's been a while. Just wanted to give you a quick update. As you can tell, it's a quite different setting. I also look quite different with my hair. But yeah, I hope it's something I'll be able to address very soon. I just wanted to tell you that I'm back. I hope I'm back. And yeah, enjoy this video. Without any further ado, let's do. After a whole fantastic month in Japan, I headed to my next destination, Seoul. We headed to Narita Airport in Tokyo, and the food court there was amazing. Something I forgot to mention in my last video is that being in Tokyo motivated me to be passionate about my art again. And I found these Posca markers, which are these acrylic based markers, and it's almost if you are painting out of a pen, which looks so cool, and I can't recommend them enough. Posca didn't pay me to say this, but I generally had a lot of fun painting with these, and I felt excited to work on the next and then the next painting with these. During my time in Tokyo, a lot of the motivation to paint comes from how beautiful Tokyo is as a city. I loved painting the sceneries and the blend between the modern buildings and the nature that surrounds it. That's just something I wanted to mention because that's what I loved doing in my time between, eating and exploring the city. So yeah. The flight from Tokyo to Seoul was just a little over 2 hours, and once we landed in Seoul, we were first greeted by this huge crowd. They were waiting for a celebrity, but I had no idea who he was. Let me know if you recognize this dude. The vibe in Seoul felt completely different from Tokyo. Well, of course, it's a different country, but it's just an interesting observation. The people dress completely differently as well. The architecture and infrastructure reminds me a lot of, Europe for some reason, and the smells are different as well. But this has been my very first time traveling to South Korea, and I always wanted to visit. Korean food is one of my favorite cuisines, and I was so excited to try out, new things, whether I like it or not. This felt like a truly new adventure because it's a whole new country that I have never been to. During that time, it was also June, and I started to feel the intense heat creeping in. It was still manageable, but it felt like the peak of a German summer. The sun was scorching hot, but it was relatively dry, so staying outside was not a big problem. Yep, but Seoul is definitely an interesting place. I was a bit surprised by the huge difference in scenery. Like one moment you see this huge modern skyscrapers, and then the other moment you walk down the street and suddenly there's this old rundown, almost sketchy neighborhood. Oh, and also water is free in Korea too. Sometimes it's even tea that they serve you for free. If this is the first video of the series you're watching, I was basically ranting about how you have to pay for water when you go to the restaurant in Germany, and it's not cheap. Alright, so we went to this really cool restaurant that only served banchans. They packed a whole table full of it. Banchans are these little side dishes that you get when you go to a Korean restaurant. The ones with the kimchi and the pickled radish. But this place serves banchan deluxe. There was grilled fish, fermented crabs, beef, pork, all types of kimchis. We couldn't finish it. There was just too much food. So if you're in Seoul and you want to try it out as well, go to Sandolhae. Yeah, they have several locations, and we went there twice. Every time we went to a different location, and it was always really good. I highly recommend Sandolhae. There was another great Korean restaurant, you know, your typical Korean barbecue place. So we ordered this fried rice dish that was topped with melted cheese and then some crispy seaweed on top. I love that dish so much. I'm actually not a big cheese fan, but this dish was so good. One meal that sounded like something I wouldn't really be a fan of, but ended up liking a lot, is called sundae. And it's a type of sausage that is filled with pig's blood and glass noodles. They had it in this noodle soup. It was really good. The texture, the flavor was really nice. So yeah, another dish that I really needed to try a few times to get used to it are cold noodles. These are served, I think, especially during summer. I mean, you know, it makes sense. It's hot outside. So, you know, why don't you want to cool yourself down with an ice cold bowl of noodles? Initially, I wasn't a big fan of it, but after my third or fourth bowl of cold noodles, I really started to enjoy it. I think I would still prefer a steaming hot bowl of noodles during summer. In my household, that's just what I grew up with, and we would have, you know, always really piping hot food. And the idea was, if it's hot outside, then you eat something even hotter, so the temperature around you feels cool, if that makes sense. It was kind of like the logic that I grew up with, but it's for sure was something really new to me. But I loved it. I loved the experience of trying new things. You know, this is what this whole adventure is about. Trying things that I would typically not feel comfortable with, you know, but for sure I would pick a bowl of cold noodles every now and then. It's really delicious. Interestingly, although the food scene in Seoul is incredibly vibrant, I haven't seen many places that are open for breakfast. A friend of mine who is from Seoul mentioned that breakfast is not very common in South Korea. Although there are a few places here and there, you know, that offer some options, there's not a big breakfast culture here in general. Thankfully, there are a lot of convenience stores in Korea that offer a good variety of instant meals. I wouldn't say it's on the level of variety that Japan has to offer, but it was, you know, plenty enough for me to get through the day. One of my favorites from those convenience stores were instant congis. You just put them in the microwave and that's it. Simple, but pretty delicious. Oh yeah, and I got my first haircut in South Korea as well. I just had a, you know, very simple trim on the side and the back, but the service was impeccable. They didn't just wash my hair once, but they washed it twice. So once before the haircut and then once after. And then also this gentleman, he gave me a nice massage. So if you're in Seoul, I recommend you check out Ken Men's Hair. Very, very kind people, and it's a beautiful salon. I definitely would go back. I think I had such a positive experience because in Germany, it's really hard to find a barber that really knows how to cut Asian hair. Even if it's a high-end place that is, you know, really expensive, they just seem to struggle with thicker, straight hair. Where I personally go in Germany are sort of the Middle Eastern salons because of the similar hair type. You know, it's thicker and also quite straight hair. So they have a better idea of how to cut it. But knowing that I'm in Asia now, you know, made it much easier for me to choose and pick a place and knowing that you will be in good hands. So yeah, after a full week in Seoul, we took the train to Busan and plan to stay there for another week and explore a different side of South Korea. We wanted to visit a place that was right by the sea. And we heard that Busan has great beaches and I really needed a proper summer vacation. So on the way, I grabbed this burger which had rice as the bun and it was really good. And also this pastry. Can't miss out on the pastry. The train experience was overall really nice, and once we checked in to our hotel room, we immediately looked for a place to eat. Busan had a totally different vibe from Seoul. I don't know if it's something psychological because it's located near the beach, but the whole city feels much more laid back, and definitely there was this vacation vibe going on. The city looked visibly much older than Seoul. It also felt like a smaller town compared to the modern city of Seoul. So yeah. I noticed that during our stay in South Korea, there was always this thick layer of smog covering the sky. At first I thought it's just fog, but it remained during every time of the day, and it stayed like that for most of my stay in the country. Only every now and then could you get a glimpse of the blue sky. But I started to appreciate having some overcast weather because it started to become really hot, unbearably hot during the day. I realized that I've never traveled to Asia during summer, and the sun in Asia hits totally different compared to Europe. Having your skin exposed to the direct sunlight felt like you're getting barbecued as you walk. You know, I love getting a tan, but it was just too hot for my liking. And I tried to stay out of the sun as much as I could to not get cooked alive. The beach area of Busan was fantastic. There were a lot of food stalls right outside where you can, just grab a little snack before you head to the beach. There were a lot of wet markets around the harbor, and I've never seen so many different kinds of sea life before. Also, a ton of seafood restaurants could be found around the area, and you can also see a lot of the staff waving you inside the restaurant. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this kind of sales tactic where they pressure you to come in. It's just from experience. It means that the food is either mediocre, maybe it's more catered towards tourists, or the competition around this area is just so high that they resort to brute force. But I mean, it must work if they continue to do it. But also the food scene in Busan has so much to offer, and there's just so many different dishes that I haven't seen before. Just like, in Seoul, when you're first exposed to Asian food and you have no idea how to use a chopstick, that's how I felt being in South Korea. There were just so many new things that I've never heard of, never seen, never smelled, never tasted. I felt so small in this huge new universe that kind of opened up of dishes. I felt pretty intimidated, but I was, very open to try everything. And I think that was just so exciting to get up every day and that you will experience something completely different, something new, something exciting, something maybe not so exciting, something maybe disappointing. And I think that's just part of traveling, part of life. There's not everything that you will see is something that you will like. And I think that's just the beauty of traveling. You just have to be open-minded to these experiences. Our last night in Busan, we stumbled upon this very cozy seafood restaurant. We were so lucky because they were sold out, but somehow we just snuck in and we got a seat. And we could see that there was this whole line outside, and kind of like pretended we had a ticket, and we walked in, they seated us. It was such a good experience. We were offered this whole set of different banchans and delicious seafood dishes, which was actually one of my favorite meals in Busan. And it tasted super healthy, super flavorful. I will try to put the name in the video so you can find it as well. We didn't expect anything. We were pleasantly surprised, and that was just the perfect ending to the trip in South Korea. Incredible food. Again, that's what I mainly came for and expected. And I wish I had more time to try even more delicious food. Yeah, can't wait to be back in South Korea. I'm heading to my next adventure. Where do you think I'm going? See you in the next video.